Hey guys, welcome to another video. I hope you have been well. Today I wanted to talk about the curriculum that I'm using for my 4 children this homeschool year. So if you guys are interested in hearing more about that, like this video, leave me a comment down below. Where are you guys in the world? Where are you watching this from? And with that, let's get into language arts. So let me give you guys a quick background on who I am if you are new here. My name is Marissa. I live in Central Queensland, Australia, and I am homeschooling 4 of my children this year. I have an 8-year-old. He just turned 8 in December. I have a 6-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 4-year-old, and I also have a 2-year-old at home with me. The reason why I am not splitting this into like curriculum for my year 2 and then curriculum for my kindergartner is because I am a big fan of family style teaching, except for language arts and math. So all of my children are at their own level when it comes to math and language arts and reading. However, we do use the same curriculum for all of the children. So instead, the way I'm going to do this is just go through each subject and what we are using, because it is the same for all of my kids. Starting with language arts, my children are using The Good and Beautiful. Now we have used this from the beginning. So my son did start on level K and we are now up to level 3. It has worked perfectly. There have been a few spelling things and pronunciation things that I have had to like change in the curriculum, but I'm talking like a few times a year that has had to happen. And so if you are in Australia and you are after a quality, well-known, proven language arts program, I do recommend Good and Beautiful. It is free, it is beautiful, and all 4 of my kids have loved their language arts, and so I highly recommend if you guys are on the lookout for that. We will be continuing using that this year. For the reading program, we are also using Good and Beautiful. The reading goes alongside their language arts program. Now, the only thing is, I do think that for my year 1 girl, she is 5 turning 6, I am thinking of switching things up once she gets to the novels, and it has nothing to do with her. It's simply because my kids are only a year apart, and so by the time I start reading the novel that we are reading together, I should say story, it's not a novel, I'm over the story. Like the 3rd time for 3 years in a row is annoying. So I am thinking about changing things up. However, we're not at that point yet, so we are still going through the Good and Beautiful for that reading program as well, and all my kids are loving it. They're all at different levels, and so far it is going great. Now you may be wondering why I'm not showing you guys the curriculum, and the reason why is because I have so many children, and obviously I am in Australia. I will not pay for shipping. Instead, I always buy the PDF version of the curriculum so that I can reprint it for each child, and that way I'm saving a ton of money. Now, because of that, that means that I need a good quality printer. I have the Epson Eco Tank printer. I bought it back when my son started school 4 years ago. Highly recommend. Maybe it was 3 years ago actually. I have only had to refill the ink twice, and that is after printing a year's worth of curriculum for multiple children every year. The printer is absolutely incredible. It is a bit of an investment, but it's worth it. It is worth it if you are going to be printing out a lot of things. I think every homeschooler needs to buy that printer. I'll leave the link for that down below. The PDF versions I just printed off at home, double-sided in color, because the Eco Tank is incredible with ink. And then in the beginning, I did just use folders like this. I have been reusing this every year. So what's inside here isn't actually language arts. This is my son's math, but all I do, it's a bit of a process punching the holes, but I would just punch it manually myself and then stick it in. It's tedious, it takes a long time, but it's cheap. Now what I have upgraded last year to is I have been buying these sheet covers. I just get them from Officeworks. I bought a second-hand binder off Facebook Marketplace, and I have been binding their workbooks like this instead. do recommend. However, when it comes to thicker curriculum like language arts and math, I do need to split them into 2 separate books. Let's go into handwriting. Now, all of my kids are going through Good and Beautiful handwriting. I will be honest, in the beginning, I was just using these op shop handwriting books that I would find at the op shop for like 50 cents. But the problem is, because I did not stick to the same program of handwriting, some books were like cursive, some books would form letters differently. And so I got to a point where I realized my son at the time, his handwriting was all over the place and it wasn't getting neater. It was very confusing. And so I realized maybe a handwriting program or curriculum is needed here. And so since then, sorry, I have flies everywhere. Since then, we have been using Good and Beautiful. They started on the pre-doodle and then they are all now up to level 1. So that's the 3 older kids except my kindergartner, because I have found that muscles in his hands are not as developed as all of my other kids. So he is still doing like handwriting practice, just using his fingers, and I will be focusing on using a lot of like sensory materials this year to strengthen that pencil grip. We are very slow going through this, but the reason why is because we do not only do handwriting, we also do a lot of copy work and written narration, and so they are doing a lot of handwriting throughout the day in those books. So that means that the handwriting curriculum is a bit slower, but that is fine. Compared to my 12-year-old, my like 8-year-old and under kids actually have much neater handwriting than my eldest son, who is public school. So it's still an itch job. And now we go into math. All my kids are using Good and Beautiful, except my year 3 student. And let me explain. The math curriculum for Good and Beautiful is incredible. I personally love it. I love teaching it. My kids enjoy it, and it has been great. It worked for us for level K up to level 2 wonderfully. For my 8-year-old, last year he was zooming through math. He hit level 3 math right at the beginning of year 2. And that's where things started getting a bit tricky. He was getting very overwhelmed in lessons because the jump from level 2 to level 3, the workload is quite heavy, and that was really overwhelming for him. I have heard from other homeschoolers on YouTube that this was the same experience for their children, and so once they hit level 3, they tend to veer away from Good and Beautiful and use a different program. Now, we did not change curriculum last year specifically because of the curriculum. The reason why I chose to change our program is because we got to the point where we were converting measurements and like volume, and we use the metric system in Australia, and because this is an American curriculum, everything was using the US customary system. I think that's what it's called. And so I don't know how to convert feet into like meters. It's too hard. So we ended up joining CTC Math. It's very affordable. Homeschoolers actually get, I think it's like 50% off. And my son loved that last year. He used it for maybe 8 months out of the year, and it's been working great for him. So in regards to his attitude and his confidence, it has been incredible. What I have decided to do this year is to combine the 2. Now, we have been doing this for 3 weeks now. So far, it's working great. When it comes to him using CTC Math, it is completely online. He watches his short video, they're like 3 to 5 minutes, on the math principle being learnt, and then he goes through a series of questions that he gets to do on his own, and then I am sent a report at the end of each week. I did not like the fact that I was not there with him, at least sometimes, because I had no idea if he actually was grasping the principles or if he was somehow just getting away with guessing the answers. And so that's why this year I decided to combine the 2 so that I am sitting down with him. I can get a feel for where he's at, what he's really understanding, what he needs a bit more help with. And so far it's been great. We have continued on from where we left off at the beginning of last year, and just having that like 8-month break between using this curriculum, it's been a lot better. He's a lot more patient with and kind with himself. He is able to get through the work without getting overwhelmed. However, we are definitely not finishing a lesson each day because he is only doing 20 minutes of the Good and Beautiful Math with me, and then he will do 15 minutes of CTC Math. I find CTC Math is very direct and straightforward, which I love. It doesn't waste time. But I do like the fact that Good and Beautiful Math 3 is more challenging for him. With my year 2 student, my year 1 student, they are using Good and Beautiful Math. I will talk about my kindergartner at the end after explaining everything else. Now let's talk about the way that I am teaching all of the other subjects that aren't math and language arts and reading. Instead of teaching a different subject each day of the week for the entire year, so for example, Monday is science, Tuesday is art, Wednesday is like Japanese or whatever, instead of planning out the year like that, we are doing science and science only in term 1, and it is so fun. And I feel like we are all learning so much more because when we wrap up the lesson at the end of whatever day we are on, we get to come back to it the next day and just continue on our thought processes and discussions. And I just feel like this way of learning is so much better, and we're able to go deeper with it and fully grasp and understand whatever subjects we are learning about on that topic. What we have been using this term is just the My Homeschool Backyard Nature lessons. In last year's video, I did say that I was using the My Homeschool series as our science, and we finished the other 2 books, but we never got to this one. It is Charlotte Mason inspired. So each chapter is about like something that you will have in your backyard. So we have earthworms, ants, aphids. There is like a 3 to 4 page story, and then at the end it has a scripture copywork section. So it has a scripture that is related to the topic we read about, and then it has a few questions to prompt our nature journals. Some chapters have a like practical activity that you can do. That is what we have been doing for science. It's so simple. We do it all as a family. I mean, my 12-year-old who has been with me for the holidays, he has been doing it with us and he's learning so much. I'm learning so much. My 4-year-old is able to get involved just by drawing pictures and listening to the story. And it has been such a breath of fresh air in simplifying things. Now, on that topic of simplifying, I do want to let you know that I have created a bunch of resources to help overwhelmed homeschoolers simplify their homeschool routine and your days and your lessons so that you feel and experience the true joy that comes with homeschooling instead of feeling overwhelmed and like you're always behind and not ticking off everything that you need to do. So if you guys want to check any of those resources out, I will leave the links down below. I will say when it comes to this book, I am also doing additional things on top of each subject. So the way that this is looking is on Monday, we will read a chapter and we'll do everything that it says. And then on Tuesday, it's a bit of like an additional work on top of that chapter. So if my kids didn't finish their copy work on Monday, they get to finish that off the next day on the Tuesday. And then I will also turn on a YouTube video, a documentary on that topic. I will also pull up like a art tutorial on YouTube if anyone wants to do that and sketch out whatever we were learning about. The girls get to go outside and they have so much fun, like because they are thinking about a certain thing that we learnt about that day, they start noticing it throughout the day. And so the kids have been collecting insects and trying to feed it the food that they have learned that that particular insect eats. So when it comes to the rest of the year's subjects, I haven't even thought about it. I am not going to think about what we are going to use or what we are going to do for art and history until the next term is getting closer. Let me just talk about the actual resources we have been using to do these things. First off, all of my children have an exercise book. It is still lined, like the feigned line to help guide their handwriting. Now, my older 3 students have a book like this, and this is where they do their narration. Depending on their age, my year 3 boy, he writes himself. I help him with spelling, but he writes it all himself. For my year 2 girl, she also writes out a few sentences, but I do not expect as long of a narration as I do for my year 3 boy. Hers will be like 2-3 sentences, whereas for him I expect like a good paragraph, at least 6 sentences. For my year 1 student and my kindergartner, I will simply get them to orally narrate back what they have learnt that day to me. I record it on my phone just using the voice, I think it's voice notes, and then they will just draw a picture about what we have learned. For my year 1 girl, about halfway in the year, I will start writing out her narrations myself to go along with her picture. When she has gotten to the point of confidently writing out every letter, she will start writing a sentence or two on her own for her narration as well. And then we also have a scrapbook. This is where they will do their additional activities. So for example, we learned about living and non-living things, and all they did was cut it out and glue it into categories of pictures that are living and pictures that are non-living. So they all have this, and this is what I will use for activities like that. And the last book that they have is a nature journal. Now this is where their artwork is going to go. This is where we do sketches together, where we do anatomy. If they want to continue diving into a subject on their own, they are able to use this for sketches and art. Over the year, we will use this for everything. So they will only have one journal. This will be for history, when we do portraits of the artists and the composers that we learn about. So it's all going to stay in one book. I keep things very simple. That's it. They have a journal, like a visual journal, they have a scrapbook, and then they have their lined exercise book. Let's get into my kindergartner. Now, my son is only 4 years old. If I was to send him to school, this is the year that he would start pre-kindy. It is all play-based when they go through this program. And so when it comes to my son, I did try to start him on the preschool curriculum last year using Good and Beautiful. I restarted that curriculum 4 times over the year. And no matter when I did it, he just was not grasping the concept of matching the visual letter to its sound. I gave up in about October. He continued reading with me. He plays a lot. He's doing all the things that he should do as a 4-year-old. He just developmentally was not there. I think something has suddenly switched, because when we did the living and non-living charts, he did it all perfectly very quickly. He didn't need my help. He did it quicker than my 5-year-old. And so I haven't purchased it yet, but I do want to purchase the How to Teach Reading in 100 Lessons. It's so popular. It's on Amazon. I think I'm going to try to use that book to teach him his letters and how to read, instead of going through the Good and Beautiful program again. So that is the goal for him this year. I'm hoping he will learn it all within the first term. We can start building on things from there. So I have submitted my plan. I've submitted last year's report for my kids. Everything was approved. So if you're wondering, is the education department okay with this? Yes, they are. They absolutely are more than happy. I have never had anyone question any of my reports or plans. And so if this has inspired you to maybe do things this way this year, go ahead, because I am loving it. Okay, let's talk about extracurriculars and sports. So my 3 older kids will be playing touch on Monday nights. They all played this last year and they love it. They have friends there. We will be continuing that. My 4-year-old and my 8-year-old will also be playing footy, so rugby league. That will take a lot of time, so that's on Tuesdays, I think, for training, and Saturday morning games. I'll be putting the 3 older kids in arts lessons once a month. It is $20 per class per child, so it is a bit expensive, but all of my kids love visual arts and drawing and painting. And I think having a proper teacher there, I'm not good at art, I think having a proper teacher there, teach them technique, it just helps the kids have a bit more pride in their work and try harder. I don't know what it is, but when it comes to mum being their teacher, I feel like kids just aren't as motivated to do their best, opposed to having like a stranger teach them. And while the older kids are doing their art lesson, I am going to take the younger 2 to the skate park that is like across the road from there. So I think that will be really fun. My son is also doing level 1.5 of piano using the Voberg Music Academy. It is 100% online. I cannot recommend this music academy enough. It is American based too. They are a wonderful Christian family who own this company. You can teach all of your kids at once using just one fee. So we are going through piano 1.5. My 8-year-old, I am very fussy with him and how he is learning, but I am starting to encourage my 6-year-old to start playing too. She has been teaching herself the songs that he is learning. She's incredibly smart, so she already knows like half the songs purely from just jumping on there and like playing what she heard him play with me. But this year I do want to be a bit more involved with her and sit down with her and teach her the songs as well. I do tell my children to do 20 minutes of piano practice a day. They need to do this every single day, so they have to tick that off. They also do independent reading every single day as well. So that's for all of my readers. 5, 6, and 8-year-old all can read on their own. My 5-year-old needs to do 10 minutes of independent reading. My 6-year-old does 20 minutes, and my 8-year-old does 30 minutes of reading on their own. This is additional reading, and so far I am still picking the books that they are reading. So my 8-year-old is currently reading through the Narnia series. He is enjoying it. My 6-year-old girl is reading through Alice in Wonderland. This is like the proper novel, like a thick chapter book. She's enjoying that too. And then my 5-year-old is just reading like early readers, very simple stories. It's just getting her in the habit of reading on her own. My kids are very strong readers, and I don't think it's the reading lessons that I've been doing with them. I do truly think it's the independent reading that has helped them become as good as they are. That will be a rule that I will implement throughout their entire homeschool journey, however long that ends up being, and I will cap it at 60 minutes. So every year I add 10 more minutes on to their reading time, and when it gets to 60 minutes I will leave it at that, and for up to the rest when they finish school they will be doing 60 minutes. I see a spider. Oh my gosh, I see a spider. That spider has been living outside of my window. Oh my gosh, I need to show you guys. No. No. Okay guys, funny story. I saw this spider run across my window like over a week ago, and he's still there. Oh, I hate them. That is everything, friends. If you enjoyed this video and want more homeschooling content, please leave your video ideas or any questions that you have in the comments below. Like this video, share it online, share it with a friend if they are also wanting a bit of homeschool help or inspiration or encouragement. I am quite active over on Instagram, so you can find me at The Organized Homeschool. And with that, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.